ranking the best R-rated superhero films. Coming in at number 5 is Deadpool 2. I found this to be a really faithful sequel. It brought more action, more array of characters from the X-Men, and it even made fun of the fact that the original X-Men First Class team aren't in the film. They're in the background in one shot. Josh Brolin is awesome as Cable. I really enjoyed his performance, and I enjoyed the redemption story of Wade trying to save this young kid from him doing a heinous and terrible act. I found that really heartwarming, and it had a really good ending scene, and cliche and end credit scene alone. It could honestly take this spot for the end credit scene alone, but it was still such an enjoyable experience. Number 4, Deadpool and Wolverine. So we finally get to see Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine clash in Deadpool and Wolverine. And it was just awesome to see, man. The opening sequence, for one, I was singing along as Deadpool was whipping that spine around and slashing up dudes at the TVA. Just hilarious. This was Deadpool's debut into the Disney Marvel universe, and luckily he was able to still do all these F-bombs and quips and crude as humor, and it was just great to watch. And we had awesome cameos in this film, but it was Hugh Jackman's Wolverine that had this film so elevated high for me, because he's always been the Wolverine growing up as a kid, and I just can't see anyone trumping Hugh Jackman's Wolverine anytime soon. Number 3, Deadpool. Originally back in 2014 or 2013, there was leaked footage of Deadpool in a car chase sequence that we see at the beginning of the film, beating up these goons in this pretty average CGI, test footage, and then it blew up on YouTube, and then Ryan Reynolds was able to be brought in to actually play the Merc with the Mouth. And thank God for that. This relaunched his career after disastrous Green Lantern film, and it was just fantastic to see a really faithful live-action Deadpool. And we see his relationship with Vanessa, him coming to terms with getting the powers and the brutality he had to go through, to taking down the villain, and your classic final clash sequence with explosions and everything and the whole debris falling and saving the girl. But it's such an enjoyable film. It is so funny, and I'm always pissing myself laughing on every single rewatch. Number 2, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I really love this film. This has everything I want for this type of film. It has a wide range of characters, and like James Gunn's fashion, half of them I've never even heard of in my life, like the Polka Dot Man and the Rat Catcher. What? A guy firing polka dots, and I actually care about him and think his character's cool, and he's got mummy issues, which is so strange. And the Rat Catcher, his dad dies of drugs. Like, all these characters, and these are all brand new characters. We had like 8, and James Gunn wrote it so well, and it was so coherently shot with great action, great comedic scenes, and just great bonding moments for all the characters. And I really can't find a fault in this film. Yeah, the ending's a bit silly with the giant starfish coming out. I just find myself having an absolute blast with this one, and Harley Quinn being back in the role was great. Rick Flag was actually given an emotional death, which I really enjoyed. John Cena, I find him a bit of a goofball, but he really suited the Peacemaker role character, and I'd recommend checking out the Peacemaker TV series if you haven't seen it already. It was close between this and number 1, but I think we all know what number 1 is, so let's move on to it. Number 1, Logan. This was an awesome movie. I remember seeing this in the theater, and I was like, why is it MA? Like, I know the trailer had a bit of gruesome elements and all that, but I was kind of like, no, it's not going to be that gruesome. It was gruesome. Alongside Hugh Jackman is Patrick Stewart and Daphne Keane, who are just fantastic as X-23 and Charles Xavier, but it's not the Charles Xavier we know. He has dementia or Alzheimer's, and he's making mistakes with his abilities, and he's implied he accidentally killed the X-Men. It's a dark and gritty, realistic story, and Wolverine's dying. He's not taking the hits like he usually can. He's not healing. So the stakes were high. You actually felt like Wolverine could die at parts of the film. And of course, you're rooting for him to be a father figure for X-23, who turns out to be his daughter. And that's just so engrossing, and the grittiness and and if you're an X-Men fan, I think you'll agree with me. This is probably the best X-Men film, even though it's kind of its own standalone film sequel thing. It's one of the best by far, I think. I think it's one of the best. And there's so much I could talk about. I might even make another video just talking about Logan. I love this film so much. That's going to start my rankings for the best R-rated superhero films. And if you have similar or different, comment them down below. I'd love to read about what you've written. And be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that rubbish. And that's going to sum it all up. And I'll see you all on the next video. Mwah.